What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Panthers advice today, man. We're going to break down the offense. Now, I know some of you are like, okay, their protection, Taylor Moton on his back, their run game didn't get going, the pass game, the drop passes, this, and a third. If you watch the film, there's so much potential. I'm telling you right now. All right, I'm telling you right now, my honest belief, this Panthers offense is going to be deadly. Now, it might take a few weeks for everything to kind of click together, but I'm telling you, if you watch the film against the Texans, which is what we're going to do right now, you're going to see, man, it wasn't really the offense that struggled. It was just one player not doing their job completely correctly, and it kind of failed the whole scheme. So without further ado, man, let's jump into it because these sleeping Panthers, man, once they wake up, let's get into it. So as we jump into our first play, this one was really confusing from beginning to end. Bryce has to help out Legette a little bit right there. They're going to run a fake. Bryce is going to roll out. Clear call right there, right? Clear call. Bryce sees that he's going to throw it up. As you guys know, it gets picked up. But let's break this play down from the beginning to the end real quick. So we're going to have Legette right here on that crosser, right? That's going to be the one read. Second read's going to be T-Mac over the middle. And then you're going to have Adam Theilen right here. That's going to be your third read going across the middle as well. First thing to look at is this right here. Legette's going to get picked up in the cover three, right? When he runs his corner, that's essentially picked up. So one... that's not going to work right there. Then you got T-Mac right here running the crosser. That's going to get picked up right there underneath. Safety's going to play underneath as well for his position. Bang. That's not going to work. Let's say there was no flag. Bryce might try to set his feet and go backside to Adam Theilen right here. But, okay, why didn't he throw to Adam Theilen to begin with? We got to run it back real quick. You're going to see when Adam Thielen's running his route, take a look at this defender right here. All right, at the top before he's about to break. Bang. Now, that's going to throw off the timing for everything. You're looking at about a second and a half right there. So really, he should be pushing deep probably about here by now, to be honest. So when Bryce is looking to go to Adam Theilen, he sees Adam Theilen all the way back here. And that's all because of this right there, right? So if you take a look right here, Bryce is reading 1, 2. He's looking to go to Adam Theilen literally right here. He looks back. He's like, that's a risky throw. And I don't know if I want to throw that. But he's like, let me just throw it up to XL. Kind of see what happens right there. So as you can see, when it came to this play, the design was good, but unfortunately a couple things happened, right? Again, free play doesn't matter too much. Let's keep it going to the next one. And now we're going to get to the run play. And I have potentially good news right here. It's still a little confusing on this play. Kind of what went wrong, but at the same time, it's not. All right, so Panthers run a dual concept right here. We're going to double team. All right, inside tackle right there. Cade Mays is in for Lewis. Okay, so he's got to work backside, get to the backer here. Same thing with Taylor Moton right here and Mr. Robert Hunt. So as we let this play develop on the duo run scheme, all right, Chubba's going to read play side linebacker. So play side linebacker is going to be right here. Chubba's reading him. If he's going to fill that gap right there, all right, Chubba's going to bounce back. Unfortunately, Robert Hunt really hasn't worked backside yet, right? So once again, Texans controlling that line of scrimmage. The other thing to look at is right here. Since Chubba has to work backside, nobody picks up this end. Okay, and this is where I'm a little bit confused at when it came to the run blocking scheme. Because you're going to send Adam Theilen in motion right here. Okay, so he's trying to take this DB, or the nickel right here, all the way outside. And then we look at Jatavion Sanders. So this guy gets double teamed right there, double team. Icky picks up his guy right there. Who's picking up the end? Because you're going to see JT right here. He's going to work towards the nickel right there, or the strong safety that dropped down. Nobody's picking up the end. And I got to say, that left me a little bit confused. Maybe that was part of the scheme, but I have a hard time believing that if play side linebacker is going to meet him right there in that hole, and we're going to work backside, that we don't pick up the end on that backside. Maybe that was the case, or maybe Chubba was supposed to bounce it out potentially. Let me know your thoughts, but I thought this was just a blunder by the offense in general. All right, and Texans, I mean, look, Mays can't get through. You got Robert Hunt, he's getting through right there, okay? But you got Mays and Corbett absolutely getting destroyed by one guy, right? If you have Damian Lewis in there, am I worried? Absolutely not, right? Absolutely not. So now we're going to get to the throw that everyone was talking about, where unfortunately Bryce, he sells T-Mac a little bit. Now, I have some good news right here. The first thing I want to look at, okay, and we're kind of going to skip ahead and rewind, skip ahead, rewind, is look at XL right here. XL's running that 9. This DB is still backpedaling. XL was going to be open. XL was going to fly by him. That's the first thing to look at right there. So happy to see that right there from XL. The second thing to look at, all right, again, we're going to fast forward and rewind, is look at the pocket. Look at the pocket right here. This was after how many seconds? Let's take a look right here. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. What, 3.5 to 4 seconds right there? And look at the pocket that Bryce has. So everyone's kind of trashing the old line. He's got about 4 seconds, right? Let it develop. That's 4. And look at the pocket. Now, what happened on this play? Let's take a look right here. Texans in kind of a cover 6 look. All right, similar to what the Panthers were doing. If you watch my video I did on the defense with Corey Thornton. All right, same thing right here. Man-to-man right there, cover 6 in the back. Now, why does Bryce sail this? All right, we're going to pause it right about here. All right, actually, we're going to let it go just a little bit more. We're going to pause it right here. Bryce is like, okay, that DB is beat, right? This guy underneath. However, what the Texans are doing is a little bit of match coverage. So if T-Mac's going to run this way, bang, this safety is going to then pick him up right there. He's going to fall off and pick up the slot right here. So take a look what happens. Run it back real quick. So right there, the ball snapped. All right, they run the fake. All right, DB's now going to pick him up. Now, why is this a problem? How does this affect the overthrow? Watch T-Mac on this route right here. He's not going to continue that same route progression because that DB's playing that outside right there. He's going to cut that thing in, as you're going to see. Take a look right here. All right, take a look. He's going to cut that thing in. He wanted to go outside, but because the Texans, all right, played that match coverage right there, you can see that kind of forces T-Mac in, and that forces the overthrow by just a little bit. But you see the potential once again. So because the Texans ran that match coverage, forced T-Mac in, that's why the ball's incomplete. And it was still almost complete, right? So this is what I like to see. All right, XL probably open, to be honest with you. T-Mac, you know, great route running there too. Pocket 4 to 5 seconds. Everything looks good. All right, let's keep it going. And now we're going to get to this play right here. This play excites me a lot. Now, unfortunately, JT is going to drop it, but why does this play excite me? Because it's something I've been talking about since the Panthers drafted Tetoria McMillan. All right. Look at the only person being manned up right here. Single high safety look. Take a look what happens on this play. Bryce is going to drop back. He's looking left. Remember, single high safety look. Immediately traveling to the left side. If we have a post right here, all right, if we have a post route right here, you see the potential we have with T-Mac right here. You see what happens when you have a number 1 receiver. Immediately, that safety is going left right there. Now, that being said, all right, the deep end is just as good too, right? Because the safety, he's no longer playing that. So JT breaks a tackle right there. He's going to get an extra 10, 15 if he breaks another tackle, touchdown, right? But you see the potential right here. Also, shout out to Adam Theilen. You know, he's going to run that drag underneath. Got to give him credit too. All right, he's going to run that drag underneath. He's going to pull the defenders with him. Take a look right here. Both defenders go underneath. Bang for Adam Theilen. Bang, bang. Safety's going to travel over here for T-Mac. I mean, so we talk about play calling. The play calling was fine. You just got to get to gel a little bit. Let's keep it going. And now we're going to get to this play right here where I thought initially nothing was open. But if we're going to be fair, you know, and critique everybody, XL on this corner route right here, I need him to be able to break this thing off right here, right? You got that DB, you know, you got his hips turned, right? Bang. He's going that way. You got to be able to get underneath. And you can see Bryce is watching that. Take a look. Bryce is watching that right there. Unfortunately, XL, he doesn't bend that thing quick enough. DB's still on that. DB never loses a step of separation, right? Take a look right here. So you can see Bryce wants to go there, but because XL doesn't break it off quicker, he's like, okay, I'm going to keep it and run. Now, this is where Bryce has to be smart, all right? You got to know what linebacker you're going against. And we all know who this linebacker is, right? We all know who it is. You can't slide at him, right? Don't try and get 2 extra yards sliding at this guy because you know he's going to hit you. Late or not, you know he's going to make contact, right? So let's keep it going. All right, XL, just got to work on bending that a little bit quicker. Next play right here, let's take a look. Panthers are going to run the duo scheme once again. We're going to pause it right here. You see the difference between the Texans' run defense, all right, and the Panthers' run defense? One, the first thing to look at is how many they have in the box. I mean, what do we got here? Let's take a look. We got about, what, 7, 8 in the box right there, give or take. So that's the big difference right away, okay? So that's one thing to account for. The next thing to account for is everybody has their rush lane, right? And as the play develops, you see once again, the Texans D-line is absolutely controlling the Panthers offensive line. Now, once again, Lewis isn't in, but we got to be able to work backside right here. You know, dual concept once again. Chuba's reading that play side linebacker. If he can fill that gap, Chuba's going to cut backside. We have to be able to peel off and get to backside. We have to, right? We can't let the linebackers, the strong safeties, whoever they are, plug these holes, right? Or Chuba's going to get nothing. Am I that worried about it? I'm not too concerned. One, because Lewis isn't in. Texans have probably a top 10 defense, to be honest with you. I mean, you saw the way they played. You see how much they stack the box. They're willing to potentially give that big play over the top. So that's something else you have to account for, right? When I see this, is it frustrating a little bit? All right. We don't really get to backside quick, right? We don't get to second level. I thought Mitchell Evans did a good job right here. He's going to pick up the end right there. All right. Receiver right here. He's going to pick up, I think, the strong safety right there. Icky gets beat, unfortunately. But all around, the run game has to improve. Now, again, Damien Lewis isn't in, so, you know, work with me here. All right. Work with me here. So we have a couple more plays left on this one right here. Okay, this is one that was kind of making its rounds online. Let's break this play down, right? Bryce Young, he's got to fall right there. The first thing to look at is obviously Taylor Moton right here, all right? This is what everybody was talking about, but nobody else was talking about. Icky gets absolutely destroyed right there, okay? So now we're on problem number 2. And then Robert Hunt just lets, I think, Will Anderson run right by him. You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't just Taylor on this play. It wasn't just Icky. It was everybody right here, right? With that being said, you're going to have Cade Mays right here and Austin Corbett. Actually, they're going to hold their own right there, right? Now, obviously, this play was bad, to be honest with you, but you see what happens, though, when Bryce leaves the pocket, right? Certain players become undisciplined, and it opens up everything else over the top or underneath, all right? And then our last play we're going to look at right here was Mr. TMC, Tetoria McMillan, T-Mac. Let's take a look right here. Now, unfortunately, we don't get to see the potential outcome right here because Andy Dalton's going to get hit. But look what he's doing to Derek Stingley right here. Look what he's doing. Stingley's going to... Come on, man. Unfortunately, he gets hit. But, man, his route running is... Woo, gotcha. Oh, it was 6. It was 6 on the board. All right, now final thoughts, man. Final thoughts of this right here. This offense is going to be scary. This offense is going to be scary. You just got to work out the little nick and knacks. But this offense, man, I'm telling you, it's going to be scary. Stay tuned. A lot more content coming soon. Panthers Devices out. I'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.